Hi, my name is Nick Snyder, and today I'm going to be presenting to you guys about Kung Fu and how it relates to slash developed along with Buddhism and Taoism. So before we can get a deep dive into the history and how it all developed and formed, we need to understand terminology and how certain words are used. In English, Kung Fu and Wushu are umbrella terms that refer to several hundred fighting styles that developed in China over the centuries. Translated from Chinese to English, Kung Fu is made up of two terms: Kung, meaning work, achievement, or merit, and Fu, which is a nominal suffix that has several different meanings. Then Wushu, formed from two Chinese characters Wu, meaning martial or military, and Shu, which literally translates into art, discipline, skill, and method, literally translates to martial art. So getting into the early history of Kung Fu, Chinese Kung Fu started to form during the Slavery Society, which was around 11th century BC to 403 BC. During the Shang and Zhou dynasties, which lasted from 17th century BC to 256 BC, martial dance was used to train soldiers and sort of boost the morale of the army, bring them all kind of together, an activity for, the military to join together and have something to do. It helped really build character. In the Song dynasty, which lasted from 960 AD to 1279 AD, at the request of Yue Fei and other patriotic generals, a large number of soldiers and common people tended to practice Kung Fu. It was really a way for everyone to sort of join together again, like I said earlier, and sort of have a training, but it was also an event where everyone could sort of do it together. Buddhism came to China from India as relations between Kung Fu grew during the years 58 to 76 AD. So now we're going to get into the Shaolin Temple and sort of how this relates to Kung Fu. So as you can see, there's the image. So it was established in the 5th century AD by a traveling Buddhist monk from India. When the temple was founded, it was founded as a refuge where monks were given the task of translating Buddhist texts into Chinese from ancient Sanskrit. This task was really exhausting for the monks. So, Bodhidharma, who was another traveling Indian Buddhist monk, he introduced a set of exercises for the monks to better regulate their inner energy, or QI, which is like Qi, so they could build up their strength and stamina. These exercises, which were a unique blend of Indian yoga and Chinese medicine, would later be integrated into the larger system of Kung Fu, which is the largest system of martial art techniques and forms ever recorded. Just for some context, there are a lot of books that exist that sort of contain instructions of how to do the exercises, and this is why it's such a large system. Like I said earlier, the Shaolin Temple was also the founding place for Buddhism, and is still the main temple for the Shaolin School of Buddhism, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is pretty cool. sadly, on January 20th, 1973, at the age of 32. But since his death, he has continued to be a prominent influence on modern combat sports, including judo, karate, mixed martial arts, and boxing, as well as modern popular culture, including film, television, comics, animation, video games. Time magazine even named Lee one of the 100 most important people of the 20th century. Pretty interesting. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how Kung Fu survived when the communists took over in China, and how sort of Mao Zedong dealt with Kung Fu and what its effects were. So when Mao Zedong took power in China, his goal, he wanted to destroy everything that was traditional so he could grow his particular brand of communism. Kung Fu books and Chinese history, including much of the literature on the art at the Shaolin Temple, was put under attack and in many cases was destroyed. But a lot of it did survive, and that's how we have the history from way back when, and that's how a lot of the traditional techniques in martial art are still known to this day. Also, several of the Kung Fu masters and the people who really knew at the time all the traditional practices for Kung Fu and martial arts, they fled the country until the Chinese martial arts became part of the culture once again sometime later. And this was very good because it prevented martial arts from completely going out and not being known. And they were able to teach people. So this was pretty incredible that was able to happen. So I'm going to finish this up by talking about how Kung Fu is existing in modern times. So in 1927, the Central National Martial Arts Society was established. And in August 1936, the Chinese martial arts team went to Berlin to participate in the Olympics. This was huge. Martial arts became a part of the Olympics, sending it on a world stage. And in 1956, the Chinese Martial Arts Association set up martial arts teams. So this was really good too, making it really competitive, making people desire to do martial arts. And then in 1985, the International Martial Arts Invitational Tournament was held in Xi'an with the establishment of the International Martial Arts League. Again, furthering martial arts on a world stage. Pretty good. Making martial arts really popular. And then in 1990, martial arts were for the first time listed as a competition event in the 11th Asian Games. This was really big too. Again, putting it on the map, making it more popular, making people desire to do martial arts. And then in 1999, the International Martial Arts League was invited as a member of the International Individual Events Federation by the International Olympic Committee. This was the sign of Chinese martial arts walking global. So basically, in the Olympics before 1999, the International Olympic Committee, they were the ones who sort of decided on the events, and there was no input from people in China or in Asia that were really big on the martial arts. So this was huge when the International Martial Arts League was invited as a member of the International Events Federation, because then they were able to take on monitoring and deciding which events get to go in, and advising the International Olympic Committee. So that was huge. That was very huge. So now, what is Kung Fu today? So, wuxia, excuse my terrible pronunciation, or martial arts fiction, is a popular genre that emerged in the early 20th century and peaked in popularity during the 1960s to 1980s. In the wake of Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, released in 2000, there has been somewhat of a revival of Chinese produced wuxia films aimed at an international audience, including Zhang Yimou's Hero, released in 2002, House of Flying Daggers, released in 2004, and Curse of the Golden Flower, released in 2006, as well as Xu Chaopin and John Woo's Reign of Assassins, released in 2010. Martial arts, like I said earlier, have become hugely popular in the Olympics and have been put on a world stage. This is my works cited. Thank you guys so much for learning about Kung Fu. It was a pleasure of mine to present about this.